Recently on LinkedIn, well, not even recently, about a year and a half ago, actually, I met a dear friend, Mario Chiodo, and he is a sculptor. And I got to visit his beautiful workshop, his gallery, and really, truly am honored by the fact that he let me do something special that I've never done before. Stay tuned.
Well, the most well-known creature or creatures I worked on some version for the movie studios, is everything from Yoda at Star Wars to the Terminator for Arnold Schwarzenegger, and even a lot of Jurassic Park. I originally started my career creating fantasy characters and creatures. The irony of that is I don't really like scary movies, but I love the fantastical. The Chucky series, all of these things where the studios brought me into to recreate them so that they could be done as collectibles or used actually for pickup film in the movies. Clay is earth. It's dirt is what it is. And this is commissioned by His Holiness, the Dalai Lama. So let me move around this
Okay.
way. You are part of the creative process. So here, why don't I'll give each of you a tool.
Okay.
We do this. We hone down the drapery
Okay.
that we're bringing it closer and closer.
Oh,
And I'm
yes.
following the shape. So
Okay.
you want to do that. So you guys keep doing that.
Okay. Now, can I go from all the way, Mario? Can I go from this side all the way
All the way.
across? Okay. Let's go all the way. Okay, I know.
Then to put the life signature on it. So I'm going to give you each one of these. I'll give you one of these. So watch, you follow the direction. Watch what happens.
Okay.
See how it begins to become refined. The sculptures and monuments and themes that I work on come one of two ways. I never stop creating what I personally want to work on. I always spend a good part of my day or night working on designs that I still feel I need to do and feel inspired about. But with that said, I'm approached by a lot of different people, organizations to be commissioned. And of course, you can only take so many a year. But with technology, it's allowed me to take on quite a few.
Now, when you met the Dalai Lama,
Actually, I have not
you have
met
not
him
met him yet?
personally. I've met
Okay.
I work with his right hand man.
Beautiful.
They all have incredible stories because they had to run from Tibet. The right hand guy was 14 years old, had to separate from his parents, and the first 3 months live in snow mountains with nothing, basically. And he said he was begging and doing whatever he could to survive. And eventually going to the monastery for the Dalai Lama and becoming a monk and working his way up through that. You have to not bury the past. We have to learn from it. I disagree with people, unorthodoxly, if that's a word, tearing down monuments. I think they need to be put in their perspective so we can learn. But to just tear them down is burying the past, and I think it amplifies the wrongness of the past, as opposed to say, that's what these people did. Why did they do it? Now, how do we make it better? So this is very early right now. So I do a frame underneath to kind of figure out where they're going. This is less developed. I'm starting to lay the clay in place where I look at my own hands a lot of the times, or I'll look at his hands to figure out where it's all going. And I build it up approximate. It's very rough right now. You can see this thumb coming around. This has not, again, been developed at all yet. It's just some clay laid in there. So it goes through this process where it happens. You can kind of see, all of a sudden, you see a thumb starting to emerge in there. And I'm using my fingers. I don't even use a tool at this stage. And I just come across here, and I make sure it's all anatomically correct.
This is very pliable, Mario. So at what point, after you sculpt, do you glaze it? How does this become permanent?
We make a mold of this.
Okay.
A rubber mold and then a hard shell over that to hold it together, and we break it up in pieces. It's like a big three-dimensional negative puzzle. And
Love it.
in the mold
That's the
is where
secret.
we cast the wax. And the wax is where we cast the bronze. So this is going to be bronze when it's finished. It's probably going to be about 5,000 or 6,000 pounds.
I was just going to say, I was going to underestimate. I thought maybe 1,500 pounds.
No, 5,000 or
6,000 pounds. Beautiful, Mario.
From his toe to his head is a little over 9 feet, but we're also going to create a sculpted base. And that base will be about 4.5 feet high. So he'll be at a good 13.5 feet tall. And that's where I calibrate that he'll be looking at you. Actually, I started the process for the Dalai Lama with a sketch. And personally, I don't like working too small. So even my mini models are bigger than mini models. So this is the size to figure out his pose that I felt comfortable that we should work, and my assistants were helping me with this one to put together because we work on multiple projects at the same time. But I received the information about how they would like me to portray the Dalai Lama. And in this case, you're seeing his hands together, but he'll actually be holding a glass heart. Because what you don't want to do is just start building up this great big giant sculpture. It's very much like yours, Jean-Charles. We did the mini-me of you. So we figure out what is the pose that wants to be done. So this all gets put together, and we work out the draperies, everything, that we know exactly where the folds will go, all these things that people don't really think about. And that's kind of the good news. You don't have to think, it just comes to you. There's one thing that I learned from Michaelangelo. Look for the triangle to guide your eye. So when I create a sculpture, it's always based on how many triangles you can capture it. This happens here like this, and it points this way. So that is the lead for your eyes, and it brings you into it. But all the sculptures I work on are always calibrated with triangles, everything. When I do a whole environment, I figure out how to make people's eye go to a specific area where you don't think about it. If the triangle doesn't exist, it's off balance. And people can't figure, well, why is that not right? It's because it was not calculated with the triangle. Even where you think you are seeing circles, there are triangles involved. When the viewer looks at a figure like the Dalai Lama that is clearly a champion of humanity, that they look at it and hopefully take away who he is and how do they relate in the universe and the earth thinking about the Dalai Lama.